Hello and welcome to Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts. I'm really sorry, but today I've got a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit blocked up, that's why. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you how I use LED lights in resin. And you can use it for lots of different effects. I love the effect that it gives, and you'll see at the end how well it comes out. So what I'm going to do is I'm doing two little projects today. I'm going to be putting them in these little tiny like molds, crystal molds here that I've already prepared using my florist foam. And if you want to know how I do that and how I demold these, then take a look at the video above. And also I'm going to be casting in this square cube as well, to use it as a little night light or a paperweight or something for a young child or in the office or wherever you want to use it. Quite simple. All I'm going to be using is casting resin today, a little bit of alcohol ink, some gold glitter, because I love gold glitter, a tiny bit of coarse mica, and some ultra fine mica powder as well in gold. And when I mix the resin today, I'm not going to worry about bubbles because, to be perfectly honest, I like the bubbles in it when I put LED lights in things, because what it does is it allows the light to refract through the bubbles, and I think it gives a great effect. And I learnt that from a guy on the YouTube called Ben's Work, who also does things similar to this, and his channel's worth checking out, so check out Ben's Work. Okay, without too much further ado, I'm going to move this out the way and mix in my colours in my resin that I have already mixed up. And as you can see, there it is. And I know how much resin I needed because of the rice method that I used when I tested out some hacks. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to put some of the, and I'm not using too much, but I'm going to put some of the chunky coarse mica in there. I'm then putting a few lifts of glitter, as you can see, 3 of those. Not too much mica powder because you don't want it going opaque. I want it to be still, and this is ultra fine, I want it to still be a little bit translucent. And I have actually got the words around the right way today. And I'm also using Pinata alcohol inks, and I find the yellow is quite translucent, so I'm going to put a few drops of that in as well. I think that was 10 drops. I may need to add a little bit more, but we'll check that in a second. So let's give that a stir. Yeah, and as you can see on the stick, that is shining nicely, and it is still quite translucent as well, so which is great. I'll make sure I've got that mixed all the way through because I don't want blobs of it where it's not got it in. Yep, very happy with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my LED lights into the mold, and I got these off Amazon. They were really quite cheap. They came with, I think there was 12 lots of it in the pack. I will put the link in the description of these, and they're battery operated, and I have used them before and I do know that they work quite well. And all I'm literally doing is just scrunching them up like so into the mold, ensuring that none of it pops out the top, and I'm just pushing the wire to one side there as well, so it's easy to tuck away once you've let it cure, and it's not going to be too prominent or cause any problems. Now what I am doing is I'm just lifting these up because I want to avoid, if possible, them being too flat in the mold, and so they're nicely spread out and nothing's poking over the top. which is great. And all I'm going to do literally now is fill this mould. Now this one is an easy one to do because it just is one string of LED lights in a mould, and you just do it all in one pour. The next one is a little bit more complex, so that's why I'm doing 2 projects in one day. Okay, and now I'm going to fill that up so it's slightly overloaded, so it's got a slight edge to it, because what I really want to do is when that shrinks back a little bit, I want it to be as flush as possible, even though I will polish it out or sand it out if it's not flush. I'll just quickly turn those on. Whoa, pretty! I had checked that they worked prior to the start of this video. So just a little bit more. Now, any bubbles that come to the top of this, I am going to quickly torch out, because I don't want the bubbles on the top, but I do want the bubbles throughout. So I will leave that for a few minutes and then quickly, very quickly, run a torch over it to allow that to get rid of those top bubbles. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. This is slightly different, and this is a little bit more fiddly, but it does give a great result. And you can add this to costumes, you can add this to jewellery if you want to, and hide the wire up. But I prepare the wire differently here for the LED. So as you can see here, I've kind of made that into a little loop, and you can do quite a lot of things with that, and that's easy. And what that does is it allows you to be able to push them deeper into the mould and hold. So literally all I do is I push the 2 wires together and give them a little twist like that. Now this string had 10 lights on, and I've only got 9 moulds, so I didn't want one spare, so I just cut it off. As you can see, I just cut it off using a pair of scissors, and as long as you cut it off after the bulb, the last bulb that you want to use, then the way they're wired up and done, they will still work. So if you only want 1 on there, you can have 1. If you want 3, you can have 3. But if you want 10, you can have 10. But obviously this time I just needed 9. So they still work. So what I will do is with these, I will put the resin inside the moulds first. And I won't fill them right up, I'll fill them just close to the top, because I do want the obviously resin to be right to the top. Then I will sort this out so each one of these fits in there ready to cure. And because I've done the twisty thing with them and got that extra bit of length, and it's a little bit more rigid, they will stay in there. And then I'll pop them in, and then I'll let it cure. So one of the things I would suggest you do is, before you attempt to put the resin lights in the little moulds like this, is that you push the actual battery compartment thing here into your florist foam, or you tape it down somewhere, because if not, what happens is it keeps moving around and it'll pop your little bulbs out, and it allows it to keep it much more flat. The other thing is I would strongly suggest is that you get everything lined up, because don't forget this is wire and it can be a bit pingy, so it will ping about everywhere, so it might pop out. So I try and line them all up and then get them as level as I possibly can, so that when I pop them into the resin, then it's less likely to pop out. Although I will show you what I do to avoid that popping out as well. Now, as you can see, I haven't fully filled all these. There is a little bit left at the top, and I will put some more resin in once I've put the lights in using a cocktail stick. And what I would also recommend is, when you use these moulds, there is a likelihood that the little bits of air bubble will trap and spoil the shape of the mould. So for instance, I always go down the resin mould with the cocktail stick, not too hard because you don't want to damage the resin mould, to the bottom, allowing it to hopefully dislodge any air bubbles that are in there, because what you don't want to do is, when you pull it out, that you've got a big air bubble trapped at the bottom and half the little mould's missing, and it just works really well. So let's get on with putting these into the moulds. So this is a fairly simple process, and I literally, as you can see, I'm pushing down into my resin the little bulb. Then I will lift this one up, because it doesn't matter how close they are together at this stage. I will lift this one up and push that one down and ensure that that is not going to pop out. They will pop out, and you will have to keep going back and doing them again, and then I'll bend that wire down. So again, but it is a bit fiddly, but it's worth it in the end, if I'm honest. Okay, so then what I do is I have a little silicone mat that I know I can see through a little bit, and I'll pop that on the top to prevent those coming out. So literally I will just pop that in there, again, pop that in there, and then I'll move the silicone mat along while it's settling into the mould. And as I said, they are wire, so they will ping up. But that's them all pushed in now, and I just need to top it up. And I will, like I said to you before, I will top it up using a cocktail stick, and just so I don't overfill them and make too much of a mess, because I am quite a messy pup. As you've seen in some of my bloopers, and as you've seen in some of my other videos, I am a bit clumsy and I am a bit messy. Now these will all stay in here now, and I've bent the wires down to allow, oh look, you see, I've put, even with a cocktail stick, I've put too much in that one, but it doesn't matter because it will just peel off the silicone. It needs a little bit more in there, and it just needs one more drop. They're all filled now, all filled nicely, and they're all holding in there nicely in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, because I want to cover them anyway, but I'm also going to cover them gently with this, okay, like that, and that will hold all those lights in place. It will stop them popping up if I don't want them to pop up, and I'll just put a very light weight on top of that, and let it hold it down. And I'm just using literally my baby wipes to do that, and it won't pop up out of those ones anyway. Nothing else can get in them, and they're safe. So we will come back to those when it's cured. These have cured now, and I've demolded them, and I didn't demold them on camera because you've seen me demold things so many times. And if you want to know how to demold these little tiny ones, really easy. If you just click on the tab above, and that'll take you to that video. So that's the square. I think that's come out really, really well. I like that. It looks nice without it being lit up. And also, this is the small charms. And, you know, this is just an example of how you can use LED lights in resin. So it's quite light outside, but let me turn off my lights in here, and I'll show you what they look like lit up. So there's the square, and there's the little drop crystals. And I have to say, I'm really pleased with those. I think they would make a great little night light. It almost, I think, looks like something from outer space. Ooh, it looks quite science fiction-y. Really easy to do, and great fun. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment in the comments. I will get back to everybody. Please hit that like and that subscribe button and the little bell, and I'll see you soon. Bye.